All right, so yeah, Bush did 9/11. Oh, hey, it is time to podcast. How's it going, guys? We don't even have the right logo. There's our logo.
There we
All
are.
right, what's up, guys?
Oh.
Welcome back to part 3 of our tier ranking of every single season of Survivor. This is part 3 where we are going to rank. Hold on one sec. There we go. Had my own voice echoing in the background. We are tier ranking seasons 21 through 30, which means we are starting with Nicaragua, boo, and then we are going all the way to Worlds Apart, also boo. Some decent ones in between. This is probably going to be the one where we have the most in the F and D category, but It's still interesting to watch because we got some good ones in there. We got an S in there. We definitely have an S in there. I think everyone knows what it is. This is exciting. I'm excited to get into this. This is part 3. It's a 4-part series. Please check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't yet, because they are pretty interesting, and you get to see how we got to these rankings that we have so far. Before we start, a couple things I wanted to go over. First of all, I wanted to send my condolences to Sunday and her family. We lost a great person and a great Survivor player, amazing person. I had the pleasure and the honor to have talked to her a couple times and interview her a couple times, which is not me bragging about talking to a Survivor. It's me bragging about talking to an amazing person on top of being a Survivor. I know everyone's been posting on Twitter how great of a person she is, how inspiring she is, and it's not just because she passed. It's the honest to God truth. Of all the over 100 Survivors I've talked to, she's up there as one of the absolute nicest. We lost a good one, not today, but this week. So we're definitely going to miss her. She was going to come on the show, but unfortunately lost the battle to cancer. But rest in peace, Sunday. Moving on from that, it's tough to move on from that, but moving on. Moving on, I wanted to tell everyone to check out the Survivor Buffs Discord. It is right there at the top of the description in every video that we have. It's a great place. We have hundreds of people in there already. All we do is talk Survivor, hot takes. We talk about which are our favorite seasons. We debate Survivor hot takes. We debate topics. We talk about what players we want to come back. What were we talking about today? Who was a better player, Sari or Russell?
Yeah. The debate today was who's the better player to never win, Sari or Russell. I think the Discord came to a unanimous decision on Sari. I can't say I disagree. So.
Yes, thank you, Christian. Please send your notes. We want to see what you guys are thinking. It helps us. Are we going to rewatch a series? I don't know. We were thinking about maybe doing a rewatch of Heroes and Villains or something this summer.
I tell you what, man, it'd be great to rewatch with some of the players. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. As long as we're not rewatching Gabon, that's fine with me. Pretty much any other season, I'm cool with. But
Adam, if I could strangle someone through a screen, I would.
Hopefully it's Fabio. The season that I think would maybe be the most fun is something like Cagayan or Heroes and Villains. Maybe we could do both this summer. Tocantins would be cool. I've seen Tocantins twice in the last year.
It's just that good, isn't it?
Yeah. Why? Why, Raccoon?
Why is Gabon your favorite? It's I don't think it's anybody's favorite. It's just like Gabon's a guilty pleasure. Even though, guys, yeah, of course. Well, if you guys watched our second episode of our tier ranking the seasons, this is why we have them divided up into 4 parts, because me and Adam talked for 30 minutes about Survivor Gabon and just going back and forth. Just going back and forth about how much we love, how much I love it and how much he doesn't. So,
yeah. This is the rumor I heard as well. Late September. So, until then, join our Discord so you can talk Survivor with me, Gideon, and hundreds of other Survivor fans. Again, the link to the Discord is in the description. Mm-hmm. We're going to maybe rewatch some seasons this summer. We're going to continue doing tier ranks. Maybe we'll tier rank the runners up next. We got a bunch of cool stuff. We've also interviewed 9 survivors so far. We've interviewed Fairplay, Russell Hand, T-Bird, Rick Devins. We just interviewed Mama C. So check all those out. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can watch all of those and all of our future ones. Did I miss anything, or Gideon, or should we get into it here?
I don't think you've missed anything. Seems like we can roll right along. I mean, all I can say really left to plug is, hey guys, I was in a game show called Expedition Online. Go check it out. If you guys miss Survivor, then you'd love this show because I played with Ethan from Ethan's On. Everybody knows who that is, and Janet from 39. So if you guys look up Expedition Online, you'll see me. There was a season 39? You'll see me as a contestant playing for $1,000. This is a buff from that show.
I didn't know there was a season 39. I thought it went Edge of Extinction, Winners at War. No, I must have missed something.
Come on, it's actually a decent season in my opinion, but we'll get to that.
Oh gosh, here's where we're at so far, everyone. Here's where we're at so far. So if you haven't checked out our previous videos, this is where we landed. We have 3 S's. I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, they're just going to put everyone except for a couple up in there in the top 3 or 4 tiers. Trust me, after this episode, we're going to have some in that F&D category. That is our tier rank so far. Well, and we're putting no limits. We're putting no limits on how many S's. When we tier ranked all of the winners, we agreed to only do 4. By the way, check that out. 2-part series. We tier ranked
people got very, very pissed off. So that's why we.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
We put Cook Islands in S. We did put Cook Islands in S. If you disagree, go away. So yeah, what we're about to do is enter the Dark Ages of Survivor. Correct?
The Dark Ages. Yep.
So, we are about to be very tough on some seasons, and it doesn't mean that they're terrible seasons. It just means these are some seasons that are lower tier of Survivor. But it gets better at the end. So I'm excited that we're finally going to get to put some in D and F. We're about to be the Simon Cowell judges of Survivor. So.
Yeah, so far the only F and Ds are, I don't know if you guys can see because I know the logos are a bit small, but that's Thailand down there in F and that's Fiji down in there as D, which is interesting because both had great winners. Which to me is the single biggest, the 2 single biggest factors in judging a season are how emotionally invested you are and how great the winner is. And also like the post-merge, the immediate post-merge.
The things that me and you said for the 2 seasons was, these seasons have great winners, but,
Yeah. However.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yes, Earl's great, and I actually liked Earl. Yes, Brian is one of the most powerful winners of all time, but he's a douche. And also, there's also a bunch of other stuff that makes it an F tier season. But yeah, I'm excited to hop into the Dark Ages.
So, yes, if you're not a huge Survivor scholar like we are, you can break down Survivor into eras. And
we're about to encounter some errors, that's for sure.
It's commonly referred to that from China season 15 or 14, if you ask me, with Cook Islands, all the way to Heroes and Villains. That is our golden age of Survivor. But every golden age is usually followed by the Dark Ages. But we also get out of the Dark Ages in the same group of 10. So Philippines was kind of our first season to pull us out a little bit. And then Blood versus Water is when we were finally out. And then Cagayan is when we're like, okay, we're definitely better. We're good. Okay, let's start off. Nicaragua. I say it's an F. I say it's an F. All
right. Yeah. I mean, I'll agree with you there. I mean, is there anything else to say? It's a terrible season. Two terrible quitters. Who do I like? Like,
not a terrible winner, but also not like a good winner.
Yeah, I mean, okay, my name on the StreamYard that we are on is Fabio Fanboy. That's extreme sarcasm. I can't stand Fabio. Okay, like, yeah, he's not a terrible. Nobody's a terrible winner, and we established that. But he definitely floated. I mean, but that's the game he had to play, I guess. I just who do I remember? Who? I mean, the only returnee is Brenda, right? And yeah, exactly. And
Sure.
I don't even like Brenda, so I just don't like anybody. I can't help it. That I like I
like Sosh.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
I like Sosh, but he wasn't invited back. Chase was okay. I remember Chase was okay. Obviously, he's probably become the most famous survivor. Maybe
that's the only person I like, Marty, actually.
Yeah.
He definitely overplayed at times, but at least he made it interesting. Like the 40 chess grandmaster was obviously like just trying to flex. It was an okay move, but overall, I don't know. It's an F season. It's that's what started the Dark Ages. It was all like,
someone said it before, but like Nicaragua was like all recruits. It was like Survivor was trying to
tell.
Yeah, they had gone through a golden era where they had a lot of fans and people who were big into reality TV or Survivor. Almost every, Todd was a huge Survivor fan. Yul was a huge Survivor fan. Parvati was a big reality TV fan. She was more of an Amazing Race person. She actually applied to Amazing Race first. Russell, wanted to come in and change the game. JT was a huge fan. So we went through an era where all the winners were even runner-ups were these big Survivor fans. But yeah, that's a good point. You call it the recruit era.
And it is, and it shows. I mean,
they tried something new. They tried, they want. I think
it didn't work.
Realized that with heroes and villains, it was the end of an era. It was a cap to an era. Old school Survivor, and when old school Survivor started, there were no super fans. There were no guys who knew how to play as soon as they came in. So they kind of wanted to recreate that and just failed.
I mean, they failed miserably. The Medallion of Power was in the season, one of the most useless things of all time. I mean, just a bunch of crap that I can't stand.
Here's one of the ones I've been looking the most forward to getting to, which is Redemption Island.
Oh,
Believe it or not, because if you guys haven't seen, go check out Coach Drew has his own show here on the channel now, his own podcast called Survivor Hot Takes with Coach Drew. And he just did the premiere episode 2 weeks ago. And in the premiere episode, me and Gideon were guests, and we debated if Redemption Island was a good season or not. Believe it or not, let me know what you guys think about Redemption Island, where you would put it in the comments here. Believe it or not, I would not put it at an F, because even though I think Rob's win was pretty much handed to him on a silver platter, I do think that it was the most dominant a Survivor win has ever been. And it was kind of like Floyd Mayweather, where you don't watch the fights to root for him. Even though I am a Boston Rob fan, don't get me wrong, I do like him. But I remember tuning in every week as it was airing, thinking, is this going to be the week where it all blows up? And just like Floyd Mayweather and his perfect 50-0 record, it just never did. With that being said, it's a bad season. I would put it at D.
I think
it at a C. Nice.
Leading D. So put it at a D.
All right.
I mean, you know where I stand on Redemption Island. I mean, we argue more about Marquesas than we do Redemption Island. But, I mean, the more that me and you talk about Redemption Island, the more I see your point, because I'm a very understanding and amazing man. I started out, like, if you asked me 3 years ago, where am I putting Redemption Island? A. It's like I loved it that much. But like as I have gotten more into the Survivor community and have become a super fan, I understand why it's not a great season. For me, I was just like, I love Boston Rob, and I like him putting people through the ringer, and I love Philip. However, the rest of the cast is certainly dull, and I mean, I just like it when the cast is great as a whole. So Redemption Island for me, what would I put it at? A C, because I was still entertained for most of the way through, just because I do like Rob, and it was just insane to watch. Just crazy how they allowed that to happen. You know, if I was on that season, obviously I would be slick and try to get away out of it. I would either go home trying to get out Boston Rob, or Boston Rob would go home. But somebody like me wouldn't be on it, because, like you said, they got a bunch of people who were recruited to hand Boston Rob the game. So yeah, I would agree with your D, even though me personally I would put it at a C.
Yeah, Matt Elrod's redemption arc was really entertaining, but it had a very anticlimactic and underachieving finish. Andrea came back to Survivor, obviously, but she wasn't Andrea at the time. She was just one of Rob's minions. And we also had the worst Survivor player of all time, which is honestly impressive, being Francesca, if you count that her average placement is the lowest.
What is hilarious is somebody's going to say, like, no, Francesca's actually decent. She just never got a chance. No, she sucks.
She'll admit it. She'll be the first to admit that she's just not good for Survivor. And then Francesca, great person, by the way. She's gonna come on the show at some point. I was talking to her just the other day. Great person, just not a great survivor. And again, she'll be the first to admit that.
At least she can admit it.
Moving on to South Pacific. Here's the thing. I like South Pacific better than Redemption Islands. The winner, while not as exciting and not as good of a player, I think is better for the season. Aussies also had like a Matt Elrod redemption arc.
Although it was anticlimactic.
Yeah, we got Coach. You know, all the stuff with the family and the religious stuff.
We have Coach in his worst form. We have, as we talked about, or did I talk about it with you and Drew, or was it somebody else? About how, like, the more I watch it, I'm like, as a very religious person, it does make me uncomfortable how they used religion to control people like that. I was like, I know it seems kind of sacrilegious, but you know. But overall, I liked the season. It was pretty funny. Has one of my favorite quotes of all time, for revenge, basically. And so yeah, I don't know. Shoot.
Well, you also have, I think, one of the greatest episodes in Survivor history, the one where Brandon gives up his immunity. So it does have that going for it. It does have a strong alliance that made it far. I'm not a big Albert fan. Again, I love Coach as a Survivor and as a person.
I love Coach, but this is his worst form.
Yeah, and even though he gets the furthest. Other than that, was there any return? I mean, Sophie returned. I think that's it for returnees for this season, if I'm not mistaken. Ozzy came back for Game Changers. Cochran, yeah. And his, Cochran obviously is a great winner in Caramoan, but he's just unbearable to watch in this season.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And unbearable.
And Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn came back. Yeah, who I'm just not a big fan of Dawn. At least
I don't think anybody's a big fan. Yeah, we should mention that. We're not a big fan of the Dawn edit.
Yeah, she's edited as like an annoying old lady, which she's not. Great. Dawn's another great person who I'd love to have on the show, but her edit is horrible.
Yeah, I bet she's a terrific person, but she got a terrible edit.
Great mom. Here's the thing. I like it better than Redemption Island, but I'm looking like here. Look at the C's we got. Is it better than Africa? No. Is it better than Marquesas? To you, yes. To me, no. I don't think it's better than Guatemala.
To me, it would be on par with Marquesas, and that should tell you a lot.
Yeah. I'm looking at all the C's. If it was going to be a C, it would be easily the worst C. To me, it's got to be another D.
I think it's a high D. A high D. I think it's a little better than Redemption Island, maybe on par with Fiji,
I
maybe.
would put it. I would put it higher than Fiji. I feel like
Okay,
South Pacific might end up being the highest D that we
it might
rank.
be. It might be, but still a D. I can't
Yeah,
say it's average. It's a little below.
low F. Okay. Moving on to One World. Let me start with One World if you don't mind.
Go ahead, buddy.
I actually One World is one of my guilty pleasure seasons. Not one of my
Okay.
favorites. It's
Good.
not one of my favorites. But again, to me, the two biggest things that define a Survivor season is how emotionally invested you are. And emotionally invested doesn't just mean you're sad or you're crying. You know, how were you? Was it a roller coaster of emotions? You know, how invested were you in the winner? Not in entertainment value, but in, you know, how much you cared for the people, and did it have those sad moments, those happy moments, those redemption moments, and was the winner strong? No one can deny was their winner strong. I actually think it was a very um, emotional season. Again, emotional
For
doesn't
what
just
reason?
have to mean sad. Um, I think that the women's alliance sticking together and taking over, but not in the sense of like the sneaky, charming way that the Black Widow Brigade did, but in more of just like a they were dominant, they
No.
outsmarted the
Yeah.
men.
The
I
girls were
think
just balls to the wall. Yeah.
I was impressed with that arc. When Kat felt that she was like best friends with Kim and then got blindsided, I
That was a
felt
good
like
moment.
I was getting blindsided. And then when she not only forgave Kim but actually stood up for her and told everyone in the jury why they should vote for her, that was a super I loved that moment.
Oh yeah.
Troyzan with his underdog story and, you know, this is my island, that was like a, you know, like a moment where I was like, yeah, like I was with him. I didn't really like Troy Zapp until that point, and then one challenge, I was like just slowly rooting for that guy. It's kind of like in wrestling, where like you don't want to root for the bad guy, but they just won't give up, and you slowly, as an audience, just kind of lean more towards them. As bad of a Survivor player as Troyzan was, the moments with him and his wife were so beautiful, like happy, emotional to watch. So we just had this great roller coaster of, and then you had Alicia, who out of the women was just the most villain, like you hated her. Colton getting voted out or having to be gone, that was felt like a victory.
Appendicitis.
Yeah, appendicitis. I thought One Road had a lot of great moments and a very great winner. It's my guilty pleasure season. I think One Road gets a lot of Tarzan. Yes, I meant to say Troy. I meant to say Tarzan, not Troyzan. With his wife. So I'm trying to look, because to me, One Road is not an F or a D. To me, it's got to be a B or a C. I'm interested to hear what you have to say, because I'm torn between B and C right now, but I would be fine with putting it in C if that's what you're leaning towards.
Yeah, you're going to put it in C because I was gonna say D.
Okay,
Yeah, I
I'm cool
can't.
with putting it in C.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to average this out, then yeah, you're gonna put it in C. I don't know, man. It was just a dark season. It was kind of boring. I mean, it had that moment with the freaking backyard challenge that Jeff didn't even show up to. That pretty much sums it up for me. It's just like I it was hard for me. It was hard for me to be into the season, even with like good villains like Brandon and Alicia. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got it right. Woo. And her.
And
I
then
was
there
just
was
like,
the
I
I always forget the name of the she was, I think she was Asian. I forget what her name is, but she was like Colton's number one enemy. He was like bullying her, and I felt so bad for her. And then when she
blame her for
outlasted,
and that was another thing. It's like you have that moment where like Colin's accused of being racist, which is probably not a stretch. And it's just like it's a dark season, man. I couldn't get into it. I put it at a D.
okay, so we'll average it a C. Um, that's cool with me. Again, it's a guilty pleasure
It's
season
a
for me.
low C.
It's a
It's a
season.
low C if it's a C.
It's a season
Low.
that I think gets more hate than it deserves. But I definitely wouldn't. Christine, that's what her name is. Christina. Thank you, Andrew. Um, okay, moving on from One World, we have Philippines, probably the only glimmer of hope in the Dark Ages.
I love
But
Philippines.
even though it was a good season in the Dark Ages, it was still a dark season. It had a lot of low points, a lot of people's redemption arcs getting ruined, a tribe getting decimated. To me,
I just
I forget the name of Russell's tribe, but whatever that tribe was, Matt Singh, the
not
Matt
saying
Singh tribe.
mhm.
Um,
Very.
to me, it was the most rock bottom a tribe has ever been, even more than Oolong in Palau with just Stephanie. So it had a lot of backstabbing, betrayal, had a lot of dark moments. So it fits the dark ages, but I do think Philippines is a good season. What are you thinking?
I don't know if this makes sense, but I think Philippines is dark in a good way. I
Me
mean,
too.
it is, it is. I mean, you have Matsine getting decimated, you have Pinner getting taken out, and that's pretty dark. I mean, it just has a dark feel and a dark mood, and the edit is dark.
Stupid.
You have he who must not be named going to the final three, and yeah, I just it's a dark season in a good way. It's like it was something that I had never really seen out of Survivor before, like be played out and like
Mhm.
it be that dark, but also it be enjoyable. Like I'm not
Yeah.
a film major, so I like, and I'm not a good editor, so I can't like explain to you what exactly it was that made it. So yeah, I don't even care about the $1 million. It's only 600,000 after Obama takes it. Yeah, there you go. Exactly though. I mean, it has good moments. You have Malcolm.
Great winner.
You have the Malcolm and Denise. Denise is a great winner.
Yeah.
It's nice to see older women. It's nice to see older women win. It's something that doesn't happen a lot, and yeah, she was a great winner. It was good to see Malcolm like have the Fallen Angel edit. I mean, it's got the makings of a good season. For me, it's B or A.
I'm a sucker for dynamic duos. Like that's one of my like
Yeah.
not romances, but like
Oh
dynamic
yeah.
duos
We haven't
is
even
some of my
talked about Abby Maria as well. Yeah.
yeah, Abby and RC's rivalry that came out of nowhere.
One of the
Yeah,
greatest first boots in history.
yeah. Yeah, I'm a sucker for dynamic duos like Fishback and Steven. Yeah, I love even like David and Rick Devens and Edge of Extinction, like the dynamic duos, Wendo and Dom. Like to me, I just love that sort of stuff. So seeing Malcolm and Denise
Yeah.
and make it all the way as far as they did, Malcolm being one challenge. If Malcolm won the final challenge, he would have won, and he probably would go down as easily a top 10 winner, if not like a top 5 winner, probably
Yeah.
the best underdog winner in Survivor history if he wins that last challenge. Which didn't he come like I don't remember what the challenge was, but it was like a super
He
close.
basically what happened is Malcolm won an advantage for the final immunity challenge, and the challenge
Right,
was holding the logs and
right, and the
balancing the
wall.
marble, and he literally just like couldn't do it. Like
Yeah,
he literally got a second chance at this and still just couldn't because his hands were so shaky. I think he was still the either the first or the second person out of the challenge. He wasn't even on like he wasn't even a threat to win the challenge like because his hands were
but
so shaky. And it's crazy because like he's not necessarily a challenge beast, but I mean he was considered a big threat to almost every challenge.
mhm.
So you know it was a tough scene, but I mean you can't win the challenge. You can't win the challenge. It's part of the game. Is it you
Yeah.
got to win the final four if you're a threat, and it just didn't happen.
To me, it's B or an A. Probably
Of course,
leaning.
me too. I'm
Probably
leaning
lean.
B.
I'm also leaning B.
Okay.
Um, just because I'm looking like I don't know if I'm more invest. See, I don't know. See, it's part of it too. Great winner, but besides Malcolm and Denise, the rest of like the final 5 or 6 were kind of duds for me. So I don't think like once Malcolm's gone, it was like it was like whatever. I mean, Lisa was a little pleasant because it was like, wow, the TV star who everyone thought would be lucky to make merge actually made it far. But
yeah,
I
it was
would
a
say
good
it's a high
story,
B.
but it was a good story, but she just wasn't a great player overall.
I would put it at I would put it, yeah, we'll put it as a B. I would put it
For
at a
now.
high B. Like, I think
Yeah,
it's better than
very high B.
Samoa. I think it blows Gabon out of the water.
I think
I
it's better
think
than
it's
Gabon.
I think it's better than Panama, Vanuatu. Yeah, I'd probably put it as the highest B. Maybe
Yeah, it might be the
Australia's the
highest
only
B.
one.
Yeah, it might be the highest B. I agree.
Yeah. Um, Better than Cook? No. No. Okay. Moving on to Caramoan.
Cagayan is
To
a good season.
me, I'll just throw it out there. I don't think it's one of the worst seasons in Survivor history, but I cannot justify putting it as a C. To me, it's a firm D.
For
I know
me,
how much
it's
you like
D
the
or
firm D.
F.
I'd put it as a firm D.
It's probably a firm D for me as well. Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, it's a firm, yeah, big D right there. Yeah, it might I like Cochran, but it still is just a slow and treacherous season. I mean, the Brandon incident's awful. I loved seeing
Cancel Coach Drew. Hashtag
I,
cancel Coach Drew.
I loved seeing Philip actually play a good game, but it got ruined. It's overall, and once again, what we talked about when we talked about season 16, it's just there's a flaw in the theme, and it really got exploited this season. Just how the flaw with fans versus favorites is. So yeah, I definitely put it at a D.
I love how half the chat right now is still just talking about Cook Islands.
Cook Islands is an S tier season. I don't care.
Yeah,
Sue
I love
me.
Cook Islands is my it to me it's a top 3 season.
Mm.
Yeah. All of them. Every single one. Okay. Yeah, Caramoan, the Brandon freak out was awful. Malcolm, I feel like would have done so much better, but he didn't get to watch himself on like when Philippines ended. He had like a couple weeks and then went right to film Caramoan. So he didn't get to let his game simmer. He didn't get to talk with his castmates to figure out what went wrong. He didn't get to watch himself
exhausted.
He was exhausted. I just don't think he was Philip, huge improvement. Andrea, huge improvement. Eric was basically non-existent, even though he was fun to watch. To me, it's a D, but it did have some moments. I mean, I actually love the Brenda Dawn. As cringy as the Brenda Dawn teeth thing is, me and my friends we had a picture of Dawn with her teeth out, and we would send that picture as a meme all the time. I thought that moment was, as cringy it was hilarious. Totally unnecessary, but
I mean, it's hilariously like awful. It's terrible. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah. So great winner. I mean, Cochran played literally a perfect game. He had 0 votes casted against him. He got every jury vote and one fan favorite. One of only 2 people to do that.
Only
the other being, can anyone name in the chat who it is? So it sounds like we're both leaning D.
Yeah.
So this is cool. I like how the board is evening out a bit here.
Well, we predicted this.
Yeah. Okay. So this was the Caramoan is kind of like the last of the Dark Ages. So Blood versus Water is the one that kind of brings us out of the Dark Ages into a new era. I don't know what you would call the new era, post Dark Ages or Because it's not quite like the Advantage era, like the theme.
Not
Maybe
yet.
you could. I guess this was kind of like the theme tribes era. It was blood versus water. Then it was bronze, brains, beauty. Then it was white collar, blue collar. It was. So I guess this is the themed tribe era. I'm sure there's a better term.
Fiji era. Not yet. We're getting there though.
Okay, no one's guessing. Okay, the only other fan favorites. I'll give you guys one more chance. Who is the only player besides Cochran to get every single vote?
I said it.
Yeah, but I was talking over you. I don't think anyone heard you.
Or
There's only one other player besides Cochran who got every single. Okay, it's JT. Okay.
I said you're like who's the only other player? I said JT, and then you're like, if the chat can guess, I was like,
oh, good. No, it's JT. JT and Tocantins and Cochran were the only two players to get no votes casted against them, get every single jury vote, and win fan favorite. Now, JT or Jeremy probably would have. His doesn't. It probably would have, but I believe they got rid of fan favorite at that point. I think Caramoan is the final fan favorite season.
yeah. Then Sia came in and ruined everything.
Earl Cruel did not have a perfect game. He had one vote casted against him as the game went on, early on. Okay. Blood versus water. I'm going to let you do this one first for two reasons. One is because it's the one Tyson wins, who you're friends with. Two is because my computer's about to die, so I'm going to step aside and charge it real quick. Tell us about Blood versus water.
Don't mind if I do. Hello, everyone. It is just I now. Why is Blood versus Water an amazing season? Let me tell you. First of all, a fantastic winner in Tyson, who's a great person, might I add. I love Blood versus Water for a multitude of reasons. I definitely think it brings us out of the dark ages. I definitely think this is the point where things start to get better. I mean, you have great gameplay, great characters. I love Hayden. I love Jervis coming back from season 1. I love Tyson coming back and redeeming himself from his awful move in Heroes versus Villains. There's great gameplay. I will say Sierra voted out her mom. That's another thing. It's Laura. I mean, we have so much character improvement from the ones before. I think Jervis's character improves. I would say it improves. Tyson's character definitely improves. Laura's character improves tenfold. Tyson's character improves. Or did I say Monica? I mean, goes from basically being invisible in one world to now being a legitimate threat who speaks about herself in the third person for some reason. Tina almost coming back and winning twice. I think overall it's a great character season. There's a lot of great characters and there's great gameplay. There's definitely some mistakes. One of the mistakes is the rock draw. Good transition there. I think the rock
Great
draw, it's a great moment, but it could have been avoided. Well, not avoided, but I think an idol should have been played there. During the rock draw from Tyson. I think that was Tyson's big mistake. Seeing Aris go down, I just think there's just so many great moments. For me, it's a low A.
Tina's Redemption Island arc was also great to see, especially because it was her and Laura. Laura was just dominating Redemption Island.
Well, that's a point that I made while you were gone. Is like we had so many character improvements from these returnees from before, including Kat, including Laura, including Tyson. Tyson, one of the biggest improvements in Survivor history. Yeah, and I mean, an ugly moment, but a great moment is Tyson pointing to Tina's daughter, saying, "I won't even use your name. I'll go disrespect her." Saying, "Hey, that's your seat over there." And of course, that you're going on the jury. Believe that you're going on the jury. I mean, just some great freaking moments, dude.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm cool. I think low A is perfect. I couldn't agree more with that. I don't really have anything more to add. Low A for sure. Cagayan.
It's the first season that I can remember watching, and it's a great one that to start off my Survivor watching career on. So I'm glad that it holds a special place in my heart.
If there was ever a line to sum up Blood versus Water, it would be this.
I will say this, the only bad thing, and the thing that definitely the editors were like kicking themselves over, was the opening twist, because it got out Rupert at the very beginning, and we haven't heard from him since. Very dumb. I mean, it's Rupert. It's Rupert. You know, he's going to.
Who did they think was going to vote? Who did they think was going to? The people were going to vote out at the start. Of course, they were going to pick Rupert.
Of course. Well, you mean of course? You mean they're going to pick Laura, and then?
Well, no, they picked Rupert, or they picked Laura to get.
And Laura swapped with Rupert. I mean, I could see that coming from a mile away. Laura, she's old. She's an older woman, out of shape. So she's going to get picked by her tribe because all you have is based off appearance. Laura, even if she is a great player, which she's not, could have gone in and, tried to make some connections. She didn't even get a point. She didn't even get a chance. And not only that, but you're Rupert's wife. So, of course, you're going to get voted out of your tribe first, just based off of first impressions. And then you have to think, that's Rupert's wife. That's Rupert's wife. It's Rupert, America's sweetheart, America's tribal council winner. Of course, he's going to swap in because it's him. He's a hero.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I could have seen that coming from a mile away.
So here are the reasons why Cagayan is an S, firm S, and tell me if I've forgotten anything. Okay. One of the best winners.
Yep.
Probably the best all newbie season.
Yep.
Amazing pre-merge antics, both wild stuff like the Brain Tribe falling apart, the rivalry between Spencer and Chaos Cass.
Yep.
It was your first time having like that super fan Survivor nerd in Spencer. You had Wu, kind of like the comic relief of the season. The Beauty Tribe, who everyone loved to watch because they were good looking, but just completely fell apart. They had no idea what they were doing. Everyone lived up to the stereotypes. You had the big boss guy, the owner of the Marlins, the big ego guy getting voted off first. Yep. You had that's just pre-merge stuff. Then at the merge, you had the greatest flip in Survivor history with Cass flipping. One of the greatest. In the same moment, one of the greatest blindsides in history. You had Lucina, who's a top 10 player ever to play. She barely makes the jury, just to show you how much talent is on this season. Yep. You have the Super Idol. You have amazing, probably the season that involved the Idol search the most. The dynamic between Cliff and Wu was an underrated great thing to watch. Rest in peace, Cliff Robinson. You had, probably the greatest Cops Are Us, The Rise and Fall, Act 1 of the Cops Are Us. You had Trish's meltdown. You had the llama talk. You had the rivalry going from Chaos Cass versus Spencer to Chaos Cass versus Tony. You had the twist of the final three becoming a final two. One of the best, as Coach Drew is pointing out here, one of the greatest ponderosas we've ever seen. The final two twist, Tony convincing Wu, one of the greatest moves in Survivor history, one of the greatest winners.
Crazy.
Have I forgotten anything? Trish's question to Tony at Final Tribal Council, to me that's the greatest question ever asked in Survivor Final Tribal Council history.
And he just answered it just stone cold, like, yep. Yeah, I would lie on my father, or whatever. He
said, was it worth it?
Yeah, was it worth it? Yeah, was it worth it? Was it worth lying about your family? Was it worth swearing? Was it worth swearing on your kids? Yes. Yeah, it's a game, Trish. But yeah, I mean, it's an S season. It might be the greatest season of all time. Just saying. Yeah, I mean, there's never a dull moment, never a dull episode. Even with somebody quitting the game, people don't even think about that because it's just that darn good. It's I mean, the Brain Tribe's one of the most fun tribes to watch of all time. Just watching them fall apart. You're forgetting about the Rice incident, which Tia, I mean, just great moments, a great cast. And to give you some other things, the Brain Tribe is indeed very awful and terrible and all of those things. But look at the end game. I mean, there's a lot of Brain players. There's Tasha, there's Spencer, and there's Cash at the end, and those were Brain Tribes. So yeah, it's just overall a terrific season, a great cast, great gameplay with the idols and the advantages, great strategy, great social gameplay. I mean, despite the fact that it was really cutthroat and high paced, they still seemed to get along on a certain level. The llama noises was great. Everything was awesome. Did I miss anything?
Plenty. I mean, we've missed plenty, but I don't think anything more needs to be said.
I think if we wanted to just sit and suck off freaking Cagayan, we could probably take about 2 hours.
Here's a tougher one. I think this next one is actually going to be one of the tougher ones to place. Not that we're going to disagree, just that it's kind of a hit or miss season. It has a lot of great moments, but it also has a lot of slow moments. And that's season 29, San Juan del Sur, the return of Blood versus Water. And I know a lot of people look at this and look at the player pool, and the player pool is amazing. You have the winner, Natalie, great winner, one of the greatest, not only female winners, but just winners in general.
Good move.
It does have Kelly Wentworth and Jeremy, but
Wentworth wasn't a factor.
Wentworth was a non-factor this season, so I almost don't consider them. To me, it's really just all Natalie. I mean, it had Jacqueline was interesting. Missy and Baylor was sort of interesting. The only thing holding Jacqueline back was her fiance. I think he was John.
Yeah, she really was held back by him.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
The Drew Christie, basically. That moment.
Colton quitting again was so hard to watch.
That was.
Or no, that's Blood versus Water. I'm sorry. This one's tough. To me, it's a C or a B if I had to pick.
Yeah,
but if someone said A, I wouldn't be like, you're crazy. And if someone said D, I would be like, okay, maybe.
For me, it's a B. I would put it around a B. I mean, good gameplay, not quite as good gameplay and as good characters as the first Blood versus Water. John Rocker is a great moment for the time that he lasts. It's.
Are you leaning A or leaning C?
I'm B leaning B.
Because I'm C leaning C. That's the thing.
Exactly.
The more I talk, because I'm also like, now that we have seasons on our tier rank, I'm also looking too at what seasons to compare it to. And like, I'm looking at the other Bs. I don't think it's better than Australian Outback. I don't think.
You don't think it's better than Samoa?
No. I don't think. If it wasn't B, it would be my least B.
Okay. Well, I think it's a low B.
Sorry, on my screen, the tier rankings are just super small.
We're all good here.
Yeah.
I can see it fine. Yeah, it feels wrong to put it in C, but I wouldn't be pissed if you did.
Yeah. I feel like if me personally, I feel like it fits the C's better. I mean, it's better than Gabon, that's for sure. But if I was going to watch Panama or San Juan del Sur, I'd watch Panama. Vanuatu or San Juan del Sur, I'd watch Vanuatu. Australian Outback, I'd watch Australian Outback. Samoa, I'd watch Philippines.
Can I pitch something to you, Adam?
Sure. Give me John Rock or something to me.
I would be willing. No, actually, I would actually be pitching a deal with you. Like, didn't they do it? Didn't? Isn't this the season where they tried to bargain with Jeff? Yeah, it is, right? Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Move Gabon to C, and then move this to B.
Done.
All right.
Done.
Because I was thinking about it. And I was like, is this as good as Gabon? Probably not.
Okay, our last one is going to be Survivor Worlds Apart, where you continuing on with the. I feel like there's a better way to wrap up this era, but to me, it's the season tribes era, or the themed tribes era, because it starts with Blood versus Water, Bronze, Brains, Beauty, Blood versus Water again, and now you have white collar, blue collar, no collar, and then what's the next season after this? It's another Bronze versus Brains versus Beauty. Then it goes on to the I guess Cambodia is kind of like the start of the transition one. So this is a short era, and it doesn't end here, even though this is the last one in this part. Worlds Apart is definitely on the lower ends. It has, the greatest challenge beast of all time. It has a great winner, probably the biggest, if not the. Definitely a top, probably besides Vesepia. I don't know. I feel like Mike as a winner might be number 2 behind only Chris. So there's that. Rodney's an amazing character. Mama C's.
Here's the thing. It's like
to watch.
Good characters. Some ugly moments for sure, especially with Dan.
Will and
Will and yeah, I was thinking of Dan just because I'm adopted. I'm an adopted child. It's ugly. It's an ugly season, but it has good characters. Especially with Mama She and I Like Mike and
how did Haley return before Mama C?
I don't know. We've already told Mama C she needs to come back on for something.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's D for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same because I'm looking at the other Fs and it's definitely not as bad as Thailand. It's definitely not as bad as Nicaragua. And I'm trying to look do we have more Fs coming up? I think we do have 2 Fs. Looking ahead, I think there's
I'm gonna
2.
fight. I'm gonna fight you on that one.
Oh, okay. And they're in a row. They're back to back. So
I'm gonna fight you on that one, buddy.
On the first one or the second one?
This is wait, are you saying the Edge is F?
Yeah.
Oh, you're insane.
Edge is an F. Spoiler alert. D makes sense to me for Worlds Apart, but I do think it might be the worst D. Maybe Fiji.
That's fair.
Yeah. So interesting.
Worlds Apart it's ugly, but I like the characters. And that's also how I feel about Island of the Idols. So I don't know.
Cool. That's how we're ending.
The only Mike saves Worlds Apart with his greatest comeback of all time, even though he put himself in that position.
Oh yeah, if someone like Will or Dan would have won, or even Rodney, as much as I love Rodney,
then it's even if Rodney wins, it's an F. Maybe even if Mama C wins, it's an F.
That Mama C would be the only one that probably
that might be able to save it. Yes.
Yeah. So there's our ranking. Very different from what it was when we came in. We were heavily leaning A, B, and some C's. We had what? We had an F, 4 D's. What else did we have? 1
F,
C,
4 D's, 1 C, 2 B's.
And
1A.
We
with
had
Blood
an A?
versus Water. Yeah, with Blood versus Water.
So we had one for each category. I think this is the only.
And an S. And an S. Can't forget Cagayan.
Yeah.
This ranking's messed up, according to you, but we're the Survivor buffs.
But he respects it.
Okay. All right. He respects,
all right.
it. Or she. I don't know, but whoever you are. Kobe. I'll just like. Yeah, no, I like our rankings, even though I had to sacrifice Gabon down one. But the more I was thinking about it, right, like even me, a Gabon super fan, I was just like, I think I would overall Blood versus Water. The second one is still better than Gabon, even though Gabon is definitely a guilty pleasure season, but I still think it's not as good.
Why is it messed up, Kobe? Tell us. Here. Go ahead. Join the stream. There's a link.
Yeah.
Tell us why it's messed up.
Yeah. Come join the StreamYard and come talk to us. We'll let you in, and you can come talk to us about what you think about it for sure.
I wanted to ask you this, Gideon. Was there any seasons? Because I know we said we were going to try our best not to change any rankings after.
We did with Gabon, but we make our own rules. We did with Gabon, but was there any that like later on? So, because for me, there's been two that I've considered, not to the point where I'm like, we should definitely. I've considered one.
Okay, which one?
Samoa.
Oh, okay, interesting. Going to C or going up to A?
Going to C, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can see that.
What have you considered?
I know I fought tooth and nail for it throughout the episode, but I would probably do Cook Islands to A if I had to change one. Still one of my favorite seasons, but if we're tier ranking it, it did have some duds in the cast. It did have some slow moments, like once the mutiny did happen before the amazing challenge comeback started with the Rotu 4. It did have some slow moments. The tribal councils were a bit anticlimactic. It seemed like every episode you kind of knew who was going to go home, so it was a little as much of an underdog comeback as it was. It did have a lot of predictable moments. So, and the comeback doesn't really start until we're zoomed in now. Until the mutiny happens. So before that, there is no comeback. It's just kind of everyone doing their thing. If there was one for me to change, it would be moving Cook Islands down to A.
I would agree. I agree.
Should we do it?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Samoa to A? Yeah, a strong A.
Nah, keep Samoa where it is. We'll wait.
Okay.
Because I still really like Samoa.
Kobe, are you not joining? We left you the link to join us. All I got to do is click on it, bro. Might be too late now, but okay, that's cool. That's our ranking. I'll give everyone a quick couple seconds to look. As you can see, next week on Thursday night, same time as this episode was. We are going to do our final part 4, where we are tier ranking seasons 31 through 40. So we are doing Cambodia, Cow Rong, Millennials and Gen X, Game Changers, Heroes and all the other H's, Ghost Island, David and Goliath, Edge of Extinction, season 39. I forget what it's called. I'll know the titles. And then we have Winners at War. If I had to guess, I think we're going to get 1S and 1A.
Ooh.
To me, the only potential S and A's are the first one and the last one, Cambodia and Winners at War.
Yep, and we might disagree on which one goes in which.
Okay. Actually, to be honest, I would probably be leaning towards. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it because I'm going to save it all for next episode.
Okay. Yeah. We won't argue right now. We won't argue for now.
I think next one is going to have the most average ones, like the most ones in like the BC range.
Maybe.
Not to say they're all going to be there, but
We definitely will have one F.
Another thing that I realize is cool about our S's is we have one from each, an S from each era, because Pearl Islands was in like the classic era, Heroes and Villains was in the golden era, and then Cagayan was. I mean, we're not going to have a Dark Ages in the S, so if it was going to be one, to be Philippines. But there you have it, guys. Join our Discord. It's in the description, so you can talk all things Survivor with me, Gideon. I think Coach Drew is in there.
Yep, he is.
Bunch of cool guys.
Chris.
Rob's in there. Jeff Probst is in there.
Chris
Tony's in there. Yeah. Tyson's in there.
I bet you we could host events with survivors on this.
Oh yeah. Check out our interviews. We've done 9 interviews so far, more to come. Tell us what you guys want to see. We're down, like, once we do this, we're up to anything. Like I said, we might rewatch Heroes and Villains, might rewatch Cagayan. Maybe we'll tier rank runner-ups. Leave some comments. Tell us what you guys want to see. We're up to anything. If we just want to have Coach Drew on every episode, whatever you guys want, let us know. Check us out on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Are you already on YouTube? All that stuff.
Yep. Check us out.
Subscribe.
Yeah, guys, hit that notification bell. Be ready for us making another one of these on Thursday. Please watch all of our videos and our live streams we got going on here. We got good stuff going. We're steadily gaining subs, and keep it up. Tell your mom, tell your dad to come watch us as well. Tell your friends. And yeah, thank you guys.
If we get 1,000 subs, Charlie D'Amelio is going to come on the show.
Yep.
Not only Charlie D'Amelio, but we're also going to get